Ken Fisher here with another Lightroom creative project. Well, it's probably more of a creative tip really, it's probably not big enough to be a project. Anyhow, we've all had problems with exposure when we have large expanses of sky. The purists among us will say, oh, well, you should get it right in camera and use a graduated filter, which is just a glass filter which graduates from dark at the top down to clear at the bottom. So it knocks out a lot of light from the sky, allowing your camera to make a more balanced exposure. And you know what? They're right. But there's always a but, isn't there? But this is fine if you've got a straight horizon. But what happens if you've got hills or buildings? You're going to darken them by using the filter. Now, Lightroom has a fantastic way of minimising this problem for us. So let's have a look at this image here. Now we can see that the sky is quite bright, and what it's done is the camera's underexposed the foreground. So let's go and use the exposure slider in the basics panel to lighten up that foreground. There we go. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. But it's blown the sky out. So what can we do? Well, let's go and look at the graduated filter. So we can click on this icon here, or we can press M on the keyboard. And what I'm going to use is a little bit negative exposure, probably about 2.5 stops. And I'll come into the image and click and drag to get myself a nice gradient. And I'll pull that down a little bit and just spin it around a bit more. Sometimes not easy to get it right. Somewhere like that. Okay. So now we've got a much better looking sky. I'll just go down and put a little bit of clarity into it, just to give it a little bit of detail. But you can see we've also darkened some of these areas here. Now I'll just press the H key just to hide everything so you can see it. So you see we've got some quite dark areas here that are a result of the filter. I'll press the H again to bring the filter back. So what can we do? Well, we've actually created some shadow areas. So if we now go to the shadow slider on the tool and move that to the right, we can lighten up them areas. And as Delboy would say, voila, the shadows are gone. Now you can see that I can be quite dramatic with this and it doesn't affect the sky. So I've got a nice sky, I've now got rid of all these shadowy areas, and I've got a nice balanced exposure. So there it is, how to use the graduated filter on an uneven horizon to balance the exposure in an image.